A very warm welcome to all my dear learners. Welcome to my incredible class. Here you will learn science for classes 6, 7 and 8 in a really fun and engaging manner. So my dear learners, we are continuing with the chapter number 2 of class 8. Let's move a step further. I told you that microorganisms are all around us. They are in the air, they are in the food, they are in the body, they are everywhere. But we cannot observe them. How we can observe them? We can observe them in soil suspension very clearly. You know what is a soil suspension? Soil suspension is actually a mixture of soil and water. And how you can prepare it? See, you can take some soil in a container, add water to it, stir it properly and put it aside undisturbed. After some time, you observe that the heavy particles of soil have settled down and there's an upper layer of water. You can take that water and observe in microscope. Clear? Now when you observe it under the microscope, you see a lot of microorganisms like bacteria, fungi, algae, okay? And some algae appear green in color. Why? Yes, you are correct. Speak up, because it contains chloroplast or chlorophyll in it. Okay, that's why it appears green, and that's why it can also prepare its own food, because chlorophyll helps in the process called photosynthesis. Clear? Now, these microorganisms always harmful for us? See, often our elders, our teachers, our parents tell you that when you come back after playing, just go and wash your hands before you eat. Okay, they often told you. Why? Because they tell that when if you don't wash your hands, the bacteria in your hands will go inside and can make you ill, make you fall ill. Okay, your hands actually are not as clean as it appears. Yes. Now, is there always that they can cause ill effects? Is there any good things they can offer us? Yes, there are many good things they can offer us. Two specific sectors where they impact us, we are going to talk in detail, is food and environment. Okay, food and environment we are going to discuss in detail. And in food specifically, these microorganisms undergo a special process called fermentation. Okay, special process called fermentation. What is this fermentation? We will discuss. Now, fermentation, we are going to discuss the fermentation of yeast and bacteria in detail. Okay, yeast and bacteria. Now, when we come to the environment, see, they help us in a lot of ways. First, decomposition. Okay, and in decomposition, actually a natural recycling process, nature's recycling process. Okay. Now, second, increasing the soil fertility. Increasing the soil fertility. That's why crops are grown in a good yield. If no soil fertility, no crops or nothing, plants will not grow properly. So they helps in increasing the soil fertility in a special process called nitrogen fixation. Okay, we will discuss in detail. And third important part is cleaning the water body. You know, there's a natural process there going on, cleaning the water bodies. Who actually do that? Microalgae actually do that. Okay, so these important things we are going to discuss in this class. Now, my dear learners, what is fermentation? Fermentation is a process. It's a process of conversion of sugar. Conversion of sugar in that food. Every food has some sugar content in it. Okay, so conversion of that sugar into useful products, like carbon dioxide, okay, acids or alcohol. These are chemical compounds. Okay, acids or alcohol. So when that sugar in your food is converted to carbon dioxide, acids or alcohol, we say that the process of fermentation has taken place there, that the food has fermented, the microorganisms has fermented the food. Clear? Okay. Now, first let us take how yeast actually do this process. First, what the yeast will do? Yeast will take the food. Okay, it will take the food called, and that process we call respiration. Okay, that is, first the yeast will undergo the process of respiration, and during that process of respiration, two important components are formed, that is carbon dioxide and a small amount of alcohol. Small amount of alcohol and carbon dioxide in large amount. Okay, that actually makes our dough or batter fluffy and spongy. And after adding yeast, you can see the dough will rise up. Okay, and it often becomes very soft, spongy to touch. How? Yeast after respiration releases carbon dioxide in large amount in bubble forms. Okay, they are often in bubble form, and a small amount of alcohol. This carbon dioxide makes the food fluffy and spongy, and the small amount of alcohol actually produced will give that sour, a little bit of sour taste, okay, or smell, okay, a change in smell. You often have experienced that if you have taste or if you have smell, if you have used your senses. Clear? So this is how yeast works. Clear? What happens? Yeast takes the food, okay, and respires. It takes the food and it uses its food. That process we call respiration. And after the respiration, the two useful components are produced. Okay, I told you they take the food. What food? The sugar component in whatever food to which we are adding yeast. Okay, every food has some amount of sugar in it. So after respiration, these two amounts are created. Okay, clear? Any doubt? Any doubt? You can always comment down. Now, my dear learners, let's see how bacteria works. Now, always remember, bacteria can act properly or fastly in warm conditions. Okay, if you use a cold condition or if these things are happening in a cold weather, the things are often very slow. Okay, so it can act properly in warm condition. Always remember that. That's why when we have to prepare curd, we use warm milk. Okay, instead of cold milk, we take warm milk. Clear? Now, see, milk has a special sugar content that is called lactose. What it is called? Lactose. Milk has naturally lactose in it. And the bacteria feeds on this lactose. Okay, feeds on this lactose. Now, after feeding that, what is left? A milk without lactose. So, milk without lactose is actually, it curdles down, okay, or forms the curd. And along with that, carbon dioxide, a little bit of carbon dioxide and lactic acid is also produced. That is why your curd has a different taste. Okay, how that taste is produced? Because of the lactic acid in it. Clear? Any doubt? What actually the fermentation? This, see, you can see in both the process, the microorganisms, the bacteria and the yeast feed on the sugar part. And when the sugar part is fed, what is that process we say? Fermentation. So it's actually a kind of fermentation is taking place here. When bacteria feeds on the lactose present in the milk, that means the bacteria is fermenting the milk, and thereby curd is produced in large amount and a small amount of lactic acid is also produced that gives you a specific taste and smell. Okay, your curd tastes in a different way because of this lactic acid produced. Clear about fermentation, how yeast and bacteria do their work? Is any doubt? Clear all your doubts? So food sector, how bacteria impact us is through fermentation process. Clear? Now shall we look into the environment sector, how they are impacting us? Okay, and animals die, and if proper decomposition or they are properly not buried, okay, our environment will become unhealthy. Yes or no? Dirty. And we have to do something, but everything we cannot do. So some part is done by microorganisms. They feed on them and clean our environment. How they are doing this, we will understand. See, this is a plant. Okay, consider it a plant. Okay, leaves often fall down. Okay, now this is soil part, and I told you that microorganisms are everywhere and they are also present in the soil. Okay, when leaves fall down or anything, animals die, what the thing happens? These microorganisms feed on them. Okay, these microorganisms feed on them, feed them and convert them into simpler substances. Okay, from complex leaf to simpler substances. And in that process, a lot of nutrients, okay, nitrogen, nutrients, organic matters are released. Okay, and what happens? These nutrients from this simple substances goes back to the soil. Leaves fell, microorganisms feed on them and converted them into simple substances. These simple substances have nutrients in it. Okay, and these nutrients will go back to the soil. These nutrients will go back to the soil, and the roots of the soil take that nutrients for its own growth. What I said, the nutrients we got from the simpler substances will automatically extracted by the roots for their own growth. So from the leaf, from the plant, it comes back again to the plant only. So that is why it is a cycle taking place. Okay, and the conversion of this complex substance into simpler substance, okay, by the microorganisms, this part, okay, this part, the breaking down of complex substance into simple substances by microorganisms, we call it is decomposition, or the microorganisms are decomposing. This process, whole process decomposing, or we can say decomposition. It's a natural recycling. Clear about decomposition? Now, fertility of the soil. See, the fertility of the soil will naturally increase when the nitrogen content in the soil increases. Clear? Now, the problem with the plants is that even though our environment have lots of nitrogen in it, it cannot be taken by plants directly. So what they will do? They take the help of these microorganisms which are present in the root nodules. What they will do? They will extract the nitrogen from the atmosphere and convert them into that nitrogen into nitrogen dioxide. Who is converting? These microorganisms, that is bacteria, specifically rhizobium bacteria, okay, doing this process and giving back nitrogen dioxide to plants for their growth. Okay, now in this process, while taking it from the environment and giving back to the plants, nitrogen in the soil will naturally increase, okay, because roots are in the soil, and thereby the nitrogen content in the soil will also increases, increasing the fertility of the soil. That is the reason why farmers always they grow these leguminous plants in rotation with other crops. First they will grow some crops, okay, After that, they grow this leguminous, that is beans, peas, these kinds of crops they grow. Then again they will grow the other crops such as rice. Okay, so that process, that they are growing leguminous plants in rotation with other crops. So that is also called crop rotation. That is, I will tell you. For example, farmers are growing first rice. Okay, rice they are growing. After that, they will grow a leguminous plant. Okay, example beans. Why? To increase this soil fertility. Then they will again grow, for example, wheat. After wheat, they will again grow some beans or peas. That is a leguminous plant. So they are rotating it with other crops. And this whole process we call crop rotation. So if you hear anywhere crop rotation, remember this. Crop rotation. This is actually crop rotation. Clear? Nitrogen fixation and crop rotation. These two helps in soil, increasing the soil fertility. Important thing that we are going to discuss is about cleaning the water bodies. Now in that process, who helps us? Another kind of microorganisms that we call microalgae. Okay, microalgae, and we have some examples. What are the examples? Chlorella, spirulina, diatoms. Okay, and one of the most important thing is that they are a good source of protein. Nowadays human beings take them as supplements. Okay, food supplements for increasing the protein content in our body. Okay, so it's a good source of protein. That is the health benefit they are having. Okay, but how they are helping our environment? See, first of all, understand they have chlorophyll. Algae have chlorophyll in it. I told you that they appear green, and green because of the chlorophylls. That is, they have chloroplast, and inside that chloroplast they have chlorophyll, and chlorophyll helps in the process of photosynthesis. Yes, and in the process of photosynthesis, what is released? Which gas is released? See, in that process a large amount of oxygen is produced, because for that process it takes the carbon dioxide present in the environment. So they takes the excess carbon dioxide mixed in the water, they take that, okay, and utilize it for the process of photosynthesis, and releases large amount of oxygen. And who will take that oxygen? Definitely the fish, the other living creatures in that water body will utilize the oxygen. Okay, so that is how the microalgae are helping to maintain the balance in the aquatic ecosystem. To maintain the balance in aquatic ecosystem. These are the benefits of microorganisms in a nutshell I am showing you. Okay, learn it. NCERT has divided into many subtopics, but the whole content is I am showing you. Clear? Hope you enjoyed today's class. Thank you for watching.